Hello, my name is Michael Curtis, and I will be speaking to you about changing the three strikes law. As many of you know, the law was passed in California in 1994 after the 1993 murder of 12-year-old Polly Klaas. Her killer, Richard Davis, already had a heavy crime record that included theft, burglary, kidnapping, and marijuana possession before the killing took place. In an attempt to prevent previous offenders from continuously committing crimes, California adopted the three strikes law, which states that after a person receives 3 strikes, just like in baseball, they're out. What this means is that anyone who commits any 3 felonies can be sentenced for 25 years to life without chance of parole. While this law could have saved Polly Klaas's life if it had been enacted just a few years earlier, it is unfortunately too vague and can actually cause even the smallest of criminals to be imprisoned for a lifetime. According to the study by LAO in 2005, less than half of incarcerated strikers are imprisoned for serious or violent offenses. For this reason, my partner and I feel that the 3 strikes law should be changed so that the 3rd strike has to either be a violent crime or a major felony. To show this, we will argue that the current law is causing people to be imprisoned for unfair periods of time, that this extra imprisonment of small-time criminals is actually costing the state more money and prison space, and how changing the law would help reduce these high costs. And finally, we will argue that the 3 strikes law actually encourages rather than discourages people from committing more dangerous crimes. First off, the law has been found in various situations to put people away for unfair, extended periods of time, even if they did not commit a major or violent felony. This actually puts the 3 strikes law in violation of the 8th Amendment that states, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. One good example of this unfairness is Michael Powell, whose first 2 strikes were from stealing a purse and later a bike. His last strike, though, was for skipping out of town when his trial was to be held for a drug charge. The reason why he skipped town was because at the same time of his drug offense, he had also testified against a fellow gang member and was receiving death threats from other members for his part in the conviction. His fear for his life is what caused him to receive the same 25-year sentence as the dangerous gang member he helped put away for murder. This sentence is clearly an unfair one, for Mr. Powell showed he was starting to become a good citizen when he helped convict his fellow gang member, but still received a life sentence as well. If the law was changed so that only violent or major felonies could count as a 3rd strike, then he would not have to be behind bars today. Another issue regarding the fairness of the law is that people can actually receive multiple strikes from the same offense. Let's take Michael Powell's case, for example. Let's say when he first stole the lady's purse, he also hit the lady with the purse when he was getting away. This action now gives Powell 2 felonies at once, theft and assault, for which he is going to have to serve time for and then hopefully never commit another crime of any sort unless he wants to go to prison for 25 years. If this is the case, then why do we just not put them in for 25 years when they commit their first felony? Because by giving a person multiple strikes from one offense, we are reducing the number of chances they have to fix themselves so that they can become regular members of society again. Everyone makes mistakes, and if the first one is learned from, but 10 years later they make another one, they should not have to be put behind bars for 25 years just because their previous offense counted double. The big problem with putting away the small-time criminals is that they cost money and take up a good amount of space in our already overcrowded prisons. According to the article 1 in 100 Behind Bars in America, in 2007, California spent $8.8 billion on its state's correctional facilities, which is more than double of any other state. In 2008/2009, the average cost per inmate was $47,000, according to LAO. With our high cost for prisons placing people behind bars that are nonviolent offenders is only causing more prisons to be built so that we can house our dangerous ones. Of our total prison population in 2004, approximately 1/4 of the people behind bars were serving life sentences under the 3 strikes law. This means that a good amount of people have been added to the prison system over the years because of the 3 strikes law and have played a good part in the overcrowding. The reason for this is that the law puts people away for a long period of time without chance of bail. So instead of having an equal amount of people going into jail that are being released from it, our system is causing more people to go in than out. If the law was changed so that the 3rd felony must be a violent or dangerous crime, then less people would be going into the system for long periods of time, and in the end, it would help save money and help towards fixing overcrowding. The final point we would like to argue is that the 3 strikes law is actually causing prisoners to commit more violent crimes because of the way it is currently phrased. While the law has been a good reducer of overall crime rates and is fairly successful at deterring people from committing a final felony, it is also causing more dangerous crimes to come about. According to TotalCrimeDefense.com, the likelihood of a person with 2 strikes to commit a third felony is reduced by 28% because most people fear the heavy sentence that follows. However, according to Slate.com, arrests of 3-strike eligible felons are generally 20% more likely to be more violent crimes. The reason for this is if a person commits any felony, including petty theft, they're going to receive 25 years to life. So a lot of criminals have the mindset that they might as well go out swinging. For example, put yourself in the once second offender Michael Rick's shoes. You have just been released from prison and are now homeless and hungry. So you go into a store and decide to steal a bottle of vitamins worth $23. While you are trying to escape, a store manager tries to stop you. You know that this is going to be your final strike if you are caught because you have committed petty theft. Do you pull out your gun and use it to get past the manager and possibly escape? Or do you simply let yourself get caught and go to jail for 25 years? Luckily, Rick did not choose violence and was convicted of 25 years for just petty theft. But not everyone chooses this path. If the law was changed so that the final crime had to be a violent or heavy felony, then less people would choose to be violent and would instead do lesser criminal acts if they were still to continue a life of crime. The good thing about making this change is that people will still be 28% less likely to commit another felony after their first 2 strikes, and now they will also be less likely to commit a violent crime. Thanks.